Hey, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to the first day of spring. Well, not officially. It starts at about 10:46 this morning. Meteorologist Greg Majestic back with you here in the North Georgia Majestic Studios with the Weather Report, the North Georgia edition, exclusively for you Facebook subscribers and YouTube members here on your March the 20th, 2026. It also happens to be Free Sampler Friday, so everybody gets the report this morning. So please consider becoming a Facebook subscriber or a YouTube member and help our efforts to build a 24-hour professional weather channel here. So you go ahead and get this special report for you today. All right, Dave, let's start off with a live look there in Dahlonega this morning. Gorgeous sunrise over the mountains. It's 39 degrees there right now, looking pretty good as we start our morning. We'll take a look around here a little bit across North Georgia. Here is up toward Brasstown, Baldus, 31 degrees up here. Again, a beautiful looking sky, gorgeous looking day ahead for us as temperatures are going to be warming very nicely with above normal temperatures. That'll get even warmer going through the weekend. Looking over toward Blairsville as folks are getting out and about there in the square, starting their day, looking pretty good there as well. Not bad. And just generally looking at a pretty good start here. Dalton's looking quiet, and outside here in Brazelton also looking pretty good as well. So a good start to today, and it looks like we're in store for a very nice afternoon with that this morning. All right, looking at current temperatures out there, looking at kind of a mix of 30s and 40s here across North Georgia. I know we got down to 32 degrees up there in Blairsville this morning. So jacket this morning, but you will shed that for this afternoon. You're looking at a pretty decent day ahead here for us. Radar is all quiet. It's all clear out there. It will remain clear here for today. You don't have to worry about that. The only rain chances I'm seeing is we might see a stray shower kind of sneak out of the Carolinas, out of the mountains, maybe for Saturday and Sunday, maybe. And again, not a really big deal. That's the only rain chance I see. A little disturbance kind of rolling into the Smokies. But other than that, that's about it. Looking pretty good there. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's model data, shall we? Let's go take a look at the NAM model here, and you'll kind of see what I was talking about there as far as the potential shower threat here. Now, today's looking pretty good. No big deal here. Looking very good throughout the day on Friday. Now, going into your Saturday, you see some of that green popping up in here, and it's like some of this might decide to pump up into North Georgia here a little bit. So we're going to watch it closely here on Saturday, see some of those showers, just really concerned about that. And here's another little disturbance coming in on Sunday. See, again, a couple of these little showers that are trying to come over the state line. So that's about all I'm seeing right now. It's looking pretty quiet otherwise here, as we're going to have very unseasonably warm weather all weekend long. All right, so today's high temperatures well into the 70s this afternoon, looking pretty good. Mid-70s here, low 70s up across North Georgia mountains, feeling pretty good. Going in toward tomorrow morning, things are going to be looking pretty good there as well. Let me switch this back over here. There we go. And going into tomorrow morning, again, a very mild start for the most part, mostly 50s out here. Probably still have a few 40s out there, but definitely a mild start there on your Saturday. And Saturday afternoon just warming up very nicely here for the afternoon. Look at that. Got a lot of 80s around here, upper 70s, and we'll duplicate that going into Sunday as well. Check out some of these temperatures out to the west, though. And look at this, 96, 93, 91. This is March. It's not May or even June for that matter. It's just a very summer-like. And we're kind of getting the fringe effects of that big heat dome out toward the west, but enough of it to really influence our high temperatures here through the weekend. All right, so let's look at the jet stream. Now, I'm still looking at a quiet weather pattern here for the rest of the month of March. That's the way it's continuing to look right now. But there are indications that April might start turning a little more active. Europeans sort of hitting at it. It's still a long ways off, so I'm just going to take you to the jet stream right now. Here's that big dome of high pressure out to the west. This thing's going to continue to dominate here really for the next few days. It gets flattened out here just a little bit. Very fast zonal flow here across the country going into next week. We got a little bit of a trough digging down here across the east here as we go into early next week. That'll bracket our temperatures down with a cold front coming in for Monday and Tuesday, but we're going to warm right back up again here as we go into later in the week there. So we still got that dome still sitting out there, kind of, isolating just a little bit. And then it's going to break down and move on out. It's going to quickly move on out. See this new trough out here in the west here as we wrap up the month of March, and it moves out. And see, there's that trough. Finally seeing a little bit of a pattern shift. And then this kind of moves off toward the east. Not an overly strong jet here, but there's a cold front clearly moving through here as we got both jet streams together. So again, I think that is the indication of the breakdown of the global weather pattern here. That's going to bring in more troughs here across the U.S. and greater opportunities for severe weather. April is kind of our prime month for severe weather, so we're going to be watching that very closely to make sure that we don't get impacted badly this spring. All right, so let's look at the 500 millibar height anomaly. Boy, does this high pressure dome show up so nicely on this thing. That big old red dome out here. I mean, you definitely can't miss that. That thing is just standing out like a big sore thumb. Is that thing's kind of sitting out there and kind of dominating the weather out there. I'm getting my pen up here. I want to draw on it because I just feel like it here because the big old high. And they had a temperature out there in California of 108 degrees yesterday, all-time record high there set for the month of March. I think it either set it or tied it from Texas from a few years back. And this thing's just going to be very hot out there. My daughter's out there in Southern California, and she was talking about the extreme heat advisories they have out there. They had temperatures 96 and 104 in March. Just unbelievable. Now, this thing gets a little elongated for the weekend. That's why we're going to see things kind of warm up this weekend. And it stays there in place. It kind of weakens a little bit, and then it reestablishes itself going in the middle of next week. Then it starts to show some indications of breaking down. It's getting elongated there a little bit. Got a bit of a trough coming here again toward the end of this. That'll cool us down. They got a front down on the 28th. And then it starts to shift. See, it starts to move on out, and there goes a trough out there in the west. So there's the indications there. Sometime around the 30th or so, as we wrap up the month, starts to move on out. This clears on out, and then we get a little troughiness kind of come moving through here. It doesn't look overly strong at this point, but the pattern change is coming. So we're still going to deal with this persistent high pressure at least through the end of the month, and then it starts to break down, and then we'll start to pay a little more attention. So again, looking at April right now. So the rest of March looking pretty good for us right now. Okay, so here's our forecast. Here's we're going to take a look at the European model. Again, nothing to really show you. This is showing a few more showers here across North Georgia on the European model Saturday night into Sunday. So again, like I said, we might need to watch for a stray shower Saturday and into Sunday for both those days. We'll watch that closely. They got the little disturbance. Here's another one coming in, going into Monday. Again, we might get a few showers sneak in across North Georgia there, but nothing too substantial. This is pretty sparse at least there. And again, going through most of next week, looking pretty quiet. It will warm back up next week as we go to Wednesday and Thursday. Here comes another frontal system coming down toward the end of the week, but this thing's going to fall apart too. Again, the reason why is we got high pressure in the Gulf. We can't tap any Gulf moisture here, and that's going to be a problem. So this comes on through. It will cool us down toward the end of the week there. There's the 540 line. So it's going to get cold again here as we go into the end of next week. And then this moves on out, and then looking pretty quiet there again. So it looks like a pretty dry weather pattern here. We get high pressure here building back in across the southeast once again. We saw a lot of that throughout most of the winter, that's for sure. And then we got this frontal system here that's coming on in here. Right now does not look severe at this point, but we got colder air coming in behind this thing, something to watch as we go into April. I really do believe things are going to start getting a little more active here as far as our weather pattern. Next 10 days, I'm telling you folks, the drought index the drought conditions here across the state are going to start going up, especially with the temperatures warming up. That really accelerates the evaporation rate. So the level 2, level 3 drought conditions across the state will probably expand greatly over the next couple of weeks on that. I'll post the drought update from yesterday today. I didn't fail to do that yesterday, but I'll post it here on Facebook for you guys to see. And again, just looking very dry here over the next 10 days. And as far as the temperatures are concerned, this is Sunday. Once again, we're well into the 80s again for your Sunday. Now, once we go into Monday, I think we'll have one more day of warm weather here on Monday. I think we're back into the 80s again here. You see the front, here's a frontal system coming on down in here, going into your Monday. So looks like Monday afternoon, we're still in the 70s here. I've still got us at around 80 here. So the European's a little fast with this. So Monday forecast might adjust just a little bit here. We'll see what the midday run does with this, but we do cool down for Tuesday. We know Tuesday was going to cool us down here, back in the 30s across North Georgia, 40s here, going into your Tuesday, and then Tuesday afternoon. Seeing this is really, really cool, back into the 60s here. I got upper 60s, so this is a little bit cooler than what I'm going with right now. And then Wednesday, looking at Wednesday afternoon here, warming back up, back in the 70s. So it's a quick hit and run. We'll cool down briefly for a couple days, and then we're going to warm back up again as you go look at your Thursday afternoon here. It's kind of going to 60s, a little bit of a cooler wedge up here toward the north and east here. Those wedges can be a little tricky, but definitely a little cooler up toward the northeast. And then going into next Friday, here's another front to watch there at the end of the week. Remember, we got that one more front coming down there going into Friday. And that Friday, we're going to warm up nicely out ahead of that front. Look how sharp that is. That's pretty sharp dividing line. 40s back here, 70s and 80s out ahead of this. And this will come through going into your Saturday. So, again, going into Saturday morning, we've got the 30s and 40s back at us again there. And then going into Sunday morning, got 30s, got 30, 37. That's why I'm telling folks don't worry about planning just yet, because we may get another cold shot here toward the end of the month. All right, let's look at your climate outlook. You know what this thing's going to show. Yeah, definitely showing those above normal temperatures kind of showing in there right now. And let me get this into my interactive mode here. And again, this is going out for the next 6 to 10 days. So this is going from the 25th to the 29th. And then as we go out further, going out again, still pretty much stays on the warm side. Only the Northeast is kind of cooling off there. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. You know this is not good. Dry conditions right through there as we wrap up the month. And it looks like we start out the month on the dry side, but it backs off just a little bit. Again, and once we get into April, once we flip that calendar, we get that high, big dome out toward the west to break down. What's happening is that that dome is not allowing any weather systems to come in on the west coast. Therefore, they're not coming across the country and keeping us from getting any real precipitation or rain chances across our area. So, again, just plan on some very nice weather here for the weekend. It will be very warm. Probably going to set some record highs, I think, on Sunday, the way it's looking right now. Going to cool off a little bit next week. And overall, quiet weather pattern for the month. But don't let your guard down. You know, severe weather season will be here before you know it. And I definitely recommend you get one of these Midland radios here. Midland radios. You can find these on Amazon and at Walmart.com. You can get those. They're pretty affordable there. And just get ready for next phase of severe weather season going into April. We had a fairly active March, for the first half of the month. Now we're getting a little bit of a lull, but April's going to come back up. Again, I appreciate you guys checking us out here on the channel. If you are new and you're not yet officially a subscriber or even a follower for that matter, or a subscriber on YouTube, again, please make sure you come on board and at least do that. Or if you want to become a subscriber on Facebook, that's that paid service, as well as a member on YouTube, please do that as well. All right, you guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, have a great weekend, and we'll see you back in here on Monday. You guys take it easy. Bye-bye.